Should Mark Cavendish have been relegated yesterday after his historic 35th stage victory? We'll get to that in a moment. First, to those of you who have been members of the community for a while, you know I made a video earlier this year predicting that Mark Cavendish would not get his 35th historic victory at the Tour de France. Clearly, we saw yesterday I was wrong, and that's okay. That's the fun thing about this channel, and I like that a lot of you guys let me hear it. But I just made a prediction based on what I had saw up to that point, and I will continue to do that in the future. And I'm not ashamed to say that I'm not going to be right all the time. And I do want to get to analyzing his historic 35th stage victory, but I think that it's important we take a step back and think about all that Mark Cavendish has overcome to get to this point. And what I mean by that is, in 2020, when Mark Cavendish was on Bahrain, he did not even know if he was going to be cycling again in the future. And then we saw as early as last year, he got second in stage 7 due to a mechanical, and then the following stage broke his collarbone. So if there's anything we're taking away from this historic victory is that, I mean, obviously Mark Cavendish is the best sprinter ever, but just having the fortitude to overcome challenges that he's faced with in life and to continue to pursue to achieve his goal, I think that's commendable. But let's get into breaking down his historic 35th stage victory at the Tour de France. And then I want to ask you guys whether or not you think he should have been relegated. Under 1K to go, we can see Mark Cavendish is on the left side of the road, but he's going to get over to try to find Jasper Philipsen's wheel, but he's going to have to battle to get there. We can see here Bauhaus wants that wheel as well, and rightfully so, as Philipsen and Mathieu van der Poel dominated last year. And we can see some shoulder bumping. Gaviria is getting in the mix as well. Cav does a great job working his way onto Jasper Philipsen's wheel. This is not the point where I think he should be relegated. This is all within the spirit of the sport. Cycling is a full contact sport. He's got to battle with Gaviria again to maintain that wheel, and he does that successfully. But we can see Mathieu van der Poel actually takes his hands off the bars. I think he should have been relegated for that, but that's not the point of this video. He does a little dig. Mark Cavendish immediately recognizes that the momentum shifts because Mathieu van der Poel sits down, Gibbons is already taken off, and he makes the decision to hop onto his wheel and shoots that gap. This is a great decision, and it looks very easy, but this is not easy to do. Jasper Philipsen sees that too late and tries to get that wheel. Mark Cavendish again does an excellent job defending this position and staying on that wheel. I believe that's Pascal Ackermann there. Ackermann launches, then Cav looks to his left, I believe, to see if somebody else has launched before him. Shoots the gap, takes off, and goes from the right side of the road to the left side of the road, and we can see a crash behind. Initially, I didn't think that was Cavendish's fault. After the finish, I got some text saying that Mark Cavendish should be relegated. Some of my friends texted me that, and I said, what are you talking about? So I went back and looked. We can see initially, Cav started in a straight line. He goes across the road to launch his sprint, and with that, everybody else's line changes. And this is what causes the crash, guys. Mark Cavendish's move causes the crash, which causes Sam Bennett to sit up because Dali is now chopping his wheel. And that's when we see Mads Pedersen go down. All right. So this is where I want to know from you guys. Do you think Mark Cavendish should have been relegated for this move? Especially when we think about Jasper Philipsen was just relegated today for what he did to Wout van Aert on the stage. And there was not a crash. So do you think Mark Cavendish should have been relegated? My personal opinion is there's a few reasons behind this as well. One, I would not have relegated Mark Cavendish. And the reasons for that is, one, the context of him getting a historic 35th stage victory. There's no way I would have relegated him for that personally. But the UCI rules are very clear that a rider should not deviate from the line that he chooses when he initiates his sprints. But personally, I do not care. I would not have relegated for that, right? Number two, we saw that everybody's line changed as well when Mark went from the right side of the road to the left side of the road. So then if you do want to relegate Mark Cavendish, you're going to have to relegate all those other riders because they've also broken the rules. So it becomes a slippery slope. And it did cause a crash. The third reason I would not relegate Mark Cavendish, I don't think it would have had any outcome on, or any effect on the outcome of the sprint. I think Mark Cavendish was going to win this sprint regardless whether he stayed straight, sprinted in a straight line, or went to the left, which he ended up doing. So I want you guys to be able to separate the two of what I'm asking here. I know sometimes that's hard for people. I'm not saying that he won because of this, and I'm not saying that this victory should be taken away from him. I personally would not take away this victory from Mark Cavendish, but with the rules in place, the UCI has clear rules in place, and we saw that Jasper Philipsen was relegated today for what he did, and there was no crash. And what Mark Cavendish did yesterday, there was a domino effect, which did cause a crash. And we as cycling fans, we do complain about the UCI not being consistent with the rules, the enforcement of the rules. So I felt like this was a discussion that I wanted to have with you guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section, whether or not you would have relegated Mark Cavendish. I told you the reasons why I would not have done it, and I'll see you in the next video.